Hello and good morning, and welcome to Virtual Coffee. I hope you have your warm beverage of choice. I've got I've actually had my tea today, sorry. I had my tea this morning, so this is actually H2O, so it's a little bit of a cheat. But today, actually, what the mug actually says, focus on good. And our topic today, we're going to be talking about how to tune your mindset for growth. I'd love to see who's here today. If you are joining us for virtual coffee in Facebook land, LinkedIn land, YouTube land, I'd love for you to drop me a hello. Tell me what you've brought today to virtual coffee. You're having a double shot. Is it your third coffee? Um, we are in Sydney in lockdown, so it has been a big practice and an exercise in mindset without a doubt, because we're going through so many challenges at the moment in our community, in our world, obviously, probably in our own households and businesses as well. And hence this sort of topic around mindset is so important. And I really want to have a conversation around it. So I'm just going to share my screen here. There we are. Hopefully you can hopefully you can see that there. So we are going to talk about cultivating and and nurturing this mindset of growth as opposed to a fixed mindset. And why is it such an important topic? Because I believe as entrepreneurs, as business owners, our biggest journey is not about how much we can make or how many clients we get or how many businesses we open, but it's one of personal growth. And what really sets successful business owners and entrepreneurs apart from the others is, I believe it all comes down to mindset. And whether you have a mindset that's geared towards growth, or one that's a fixed mindset, where a good coaching friend of mine, who's also my business coach, talks about the mindset of a victor, a winner, and a mindset of a victim. So someone that feels that they're always the victim, or they've got this fixed mindset. And and why this has really come up around for me most lately, and I want to be able to talk about, is so I've been homeschooling. Just like a lot of parents in the country and across the world in lockdown, I've been homeschooling, and I can tell you it's not the easiest thing in the world, because it is something that I realized, like even from a young age, we we need to really cultivate this um, mindset around um, around growth. Right? I'm going to say this word growth quite a few times because I think it's really important. So, like you'll see your kids saying, "I don't want to do maths. I don't want to do English." Maybe it's just my children, but whatever it is, apply this to the work environment. I don't want to do maths because it's too hard. I'll get the answers wrong. Um, and and that for me is a fixed mindset. Whereas the growth mindset, which I try to help my children with, is around saying, "Hey, I know this is a bit challenging, but if we do it a bit more and we practice, it will be easier. Let me help you. Let me help you with that. Because each time you're able to do something you think you can't do, you're gonna grow. You're gonna get better at it." So I'm applying this to my children. Whether I'm patient with them most of the times or not is another question, but that's fine. But this is where I think, we go through around four areas of our lives where we typically have a choice. Well, I'm going to cover, there's more than four areas, obviously, but I'm going to cover four main areas that I think that we typically have a choice in our businesses and our lives, around choosing whether to tackle it with a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. So let's jump into it. So number one is skills. And as I mentioned with the example before, having a fixed mindset around the skills, so your ability to do something, right? Whether it's in your, let's say, your business, let's just apply it to business sense. Whether you're able to do something, and if you're fixated on what's wrong about it, or you tell yourself that you can't do it, you can't do a particular task. For example, really easy, videos, right? So doing, a lot of people know that marketing wise, we've got to be, video makes a really huge impact. And and you say to yourself, I just can't do it, I'm not really good at it, I don't speak well, or I'm not a video type of person. Or you've tried video and you've done it a few times, but you sort of go, I'm not getting this sort of response that I have. That's a fixed mindset, where you have the choice to then either then switch it to a growth mindset, where you sort of go, well, I'm actually going to step into my fear or my challenges, and get better at this whole video thing. So I'll give you a clear example of when I first started doing video and Facebook Lives. This was probably just over 2 years ago. I was absolutely petrified. Was it 2 years? Maybe it was less than that. But I was petrified. I was like, I mumble. I probably still do. I don't know if people are going to listen to me. I had all these fears, right, about whether I was a good enough presenter or not. But the one thing that kept popping up in my mind is that if I wanted to make a difference, and this comes down to your why again, your growth, that needs to be tied to something that's bigger than you, right? Because there's no motivation to grow otherwise. So your growth needs to be tied to into your why. And I said my why was, I really want to be able to impact more people. I wanted to be able to make a difference. And to do that, I needed to have people listen, I guess not just listen, but people listen to my message, and for me to be able to share what that message is. And so I persisted. And the way that I persisted was through having someone, a guest. So making sure that I had a guest on my virtual, not virtual coffees. I have other Facebook Live events where I had a guest, and so that was to my to a certain extent my accountability, so that I would keep persisting because I needed to show up. I realized for me to show up to something was when I felt that I was going to let someone down if I didn't. And so it was hard to start with. I look at the videos now and my lighting was terrible. I said I didn't really know how to interview very well, but each time I said, thank you for this opportunity to meet new people. Thank you for this opportunity to practice. I was using my audience as a bit of my guinea pig until I felt that I grew this confidence in my skills and I'd grown into it. So, um, first it's hard, it is hard, but I realize now, I look at how far I've come, and I've improved so much, and I love it. I absolutely love speaking to people now, having guests on virtual coffees and on my other Facebook lives. I love being a guest on other podcasts and lives as well. And I realized it was because I allowed myself to have a growth mindset around my skills, um, and affirm my skills as well. We talk about affirmations quite a lot, like affirm that you're able to do something. The moment that you keep saying you can't, it's true, because your mind doesn't differentiate what's true or not. It just knows what you've said and what you believe. So that's skills. The next one is challenges. So when I talk about challenges, is around, this might be challenges with people, this might be challenges that you're having at work, or in or people sort of even um, uh, giving you. I was going to talk about feedback in a little bit, but if you're having challenges in your business, all right. Say for example, that you're having clients that are coming back um, uh, with feedback around, you're not doing things quite well, your service is not as good as I thought. And we find that we try to avoid these, um, because we're afraid that if we challenge ourselves, that it'll reveal inadequacies, or we find that we don't have any options and that's it, and that we have challenges in projects that we come across and we don't know if we're going to be able to resolve it. What happens? What if? So this whole sort of that fixed mindset around their thinking that there's no there's no way out, or this is the worst thing ever. um, Whereas the growth mindset is around accepting that something has happened and a challenge has been put in front of you, but embracing that that challenge is there for you to grow, that it's actually a great opportunity to grow, to innovate, and be a better version of yourself. I mean, we've been going through some challenges. I know personally, like I said, with lockdown, with the kids, in the business, and I sort of look at it and go, it's growing pains, right? The word growing pains. You've got to be uncomfortable to be able to grow, because if you're not put in a situation of discomfort, then you're going to be stagnant, and there's no growth. Once you're stagnant, then there's sort of like, well, I'm not going to do anything more. And if you're not doing more, there's no opportunity to achieve more and do more and make a difference. Um, One of the things, and I do projects, right? Development projects, and always something comes up. There's always challenges of some sort, business projects, whatever that might be. There's always challenges, and what I've realized through the years is it's through my different businesses and the ones that um have done well and the ones that didn't. When the ones where I did well was when I wanted to continuously face my fears, um and embrace them and face them with a level of kindness. When I say kindness, it's also, being gentle on yourself. All right, so as we think we're too hard on ourselves, with that fixed mindset where we're just like, because of you, this has happened because of, and we get so fixated on what's wrong that we don't allow ourselves to then move our focus to solution making mode. So that's another one there, having a growth mindset around challenges and um, finding ways to get around them or get over them. So the next one is, where's my little slide? There we are. Oh, no, wrong one. Where's my little slide? There we are. Okay. The next one is around feedback. So this is a great one for a lot of businesses. And feedback is something, admittedly, for a very long time, I avoided like the plague. Um, Going back to sort of challenges, felt that if I got feedback and it wasn't great feedback, that it would be a revelation that I had all these inadequacies personally and professionally. And I felt that I needed to be able to show um this view of being someone that had everything in order. And the truth is, none of us do. Okay. I mean, some of us manage it better than others, and some of us don't. I would say for myself personally, I would get feedback and I would be defensive. I would get feedback and I would take it personally. And whether this was from family or people in business or my partners, like I remember getting feedback and absolutely feeling crushed about it and feeling like I was a failure. And that's a huge mindset thing, this whole, we feel this sense of failure or someone's shut us down that we're almost immobilized to be able to move forward, that we feel like that's it. I'm a failure. I'm never going to be great in everything. And I remember very distinctly saying that to my husband once when something had gone wrong in one of my projects or something got wrong in the business, and I just felt that I was absolutely I was spent. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. um I failed myself, I failed everyone, I failed my family, and I was literally stuck. And I look at it and I go, geez, it is a fixed mindset. Like, how can I move away from this mindset of failure to a mindset of growth again? All right, we're moving from one to the other. And not saying that you can never have a fixed mindset, like it's always going to come up, right? I mean, we as humans, we're innately tuned to have this notion of fight or flight, to be afraid of things and all and to sort of protect ourselves. So this fixed mindset is around protecting ourselves, where the growth mindset is around, for want of a better word, exposing yourself and allowing yourself to be rattled around and and take yourself to another level. And so when I realized that I had this really negative mindset and around failure and negative mindset around taking things personally, I knew that I had to, like, I couldn't get to where I wanted to be unless I allowed myself to think differently and affirm that I was not a failure, that I was enough, and allow myself to look at things from a different perspective and learn from the situation. And the main thing was taking an event and looking at how I could improve that and do things differently the next time. Right. And not get hung up on it. I think that's the main thing, particularly when you get feedback, is not to hang on to it, and because it doesn't do you any good, because the only person that it's affecting is you. And when I realized that, like, my ability to go from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset happens a lot quicker. Does it happen like that all the time? Maybe not, but it happens a lot quicker when I have that realization that I can choose how I want to react to something and how I can use that um, uh, to my advantage. And thank you. I love that. I love that quote. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Absolutely. Wayne Dyer is one of the most famous um, mindset, personal growth coaches in the world, and time again, it's whether it's Tony Robbins, whether it's Sanguru, or any of these people that are talking about growth, it's always around, yes, what you think is what you manifest. So what you think is correct. The power of our mind and our words and what we feel about ourselves is true, right? The moment that you think it is, it's true. So, even the words "I am enough," say it enough times to yourself and you will believe it, even if you don't believe it now, because then it allows you to move from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset. Cool. I'd love for anyone to share their stories, and anything that I'm talking about here. Have you been through those areas in your life where you've questioned your skills, that you've come up with challenges and you've faced negative feedback? Like, how did you go from a fixed mindset, or did you sort of stay in the fixed mindset and recognize that was a fixed mindset? Um, and or how did you go from fixed mindset to a growth mindset as well? What were the things that helped you change your perspective? And the last one is setbacks, right? All these, if you haven't noticed, like all these areas that I've talked about, whether it's challenges, feedback, setbacks, I have all this underlying negativity to them. So even in that sense, when we're saying the word setbacks, like if we look at it and say, well, that's really bad, it's a setback, does that mean that I'm always going to stay back? That um, that you feel discouraged and stop? And that's where um, one of my favorite quotes from Denzel Washington, I think it's his, he talks about falling forward. How can you fall forward? Because when you get a setback, a fixed mindset looks at it and it gets discouraged and stops what they're doing. They said, "That's it. I can't do it. It's too hard. I'm going to stop, and I'm just not good enough." Or a fixed mindset might decide to blame others for what's happened. Um, it's always easier to blame others because we're not taking a level of responsibility. Whereas a growth mindset, and this is one thing that I've learned from my business coach as well, Tony Meredith, I'm going to give a big shout out to you here, is around, are you taking responsibility? So when we take responsibility and we look at, what could I have done? Because we don't have control over what other people do. We only have control over what we do. You know, you only have control over what you do and say and how you think. And so if you can look at a situation and say, all right, I'm going to take responsibility. How could I have done this differently? Or how can I change this to make it better? That solution mindset again, and that mindset of growth, being accountable for your actions. I remember, and I'd bring this back to my children. I say, how you something's gone wrong or whichever. There's toys everywhere, and you sort of go, who's done this, and nobody wants to put their hands up. Again, I think that might just be my kids. Hopefully not. And no one wants to be accountable. No one wants to take responsibility because, and if you're like my daughter, she'd be like, it was him. It was, she pointing her fingers at her little brother because um she feels uh that she's a failure if she admits to not cleaning up. And so apply this to your business where something goes wrong, and if we've got a team, right? So if you have a team and if you've got people working with you and they're not performing, like, I know it's the first thing we tend to do is go, okay, what are they doing wrong? But what we need to actually do is step back and look at how, and taking responsibility of how we're working with them as well. Do they have the right, do they have the clarity of what their role is? Are they, do they have the competence? So are they the right people to be actually doing it? And then three, do they have the right support around being able to get it done well? Because I'd like to think that we give everyone the best chance of success. And if you are able to say, yep, I've taken responsibility and I'm accountable not only for my actions, but I'm also accountable for whoever it is that's in my team, how do I ensure that they have every chance of success? Is ensuring that you are giving the right framework for them to succeed at what they're doing. Because not only do you need to have a growth mindset as a leader, if you're in business and you're growing a team, you are a leader. You need to nurture this mindset around empowering the growth of your team as well. And the last thing I'd say is, particularly when you're faced with setbacks, is that mindset of growth is around being able to reflect, like stop and reflect and review and go again. and obviously not make the same mistakes as you did before, because if you do, then that's insanity, right? But if you're looking at ways to change and improve, then you're stepping into that notion of growth. So those are the four main areas that I felt that really I wanted to share and talk about in today's virtual coffee. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if any of that resonated with you as well. We've got some drilling happening, so I'm going to sort of wrap up soon. Um, so which mindset do you choose to have? In any situation, it is a choice. I realize how much it is that we have the choice to choose one that's of a victim or a victor, one that's fixed or that's growth. So, what I'd like you to leave with today with your caffeine hit of coffee is apply that in your day to day today, day to day today. Any situation that comes up, have a thought before you sort of react whether you want to apply a fixed or a growth mindset to it. And I'd love to hear your feedback, if you've applied that today and if it's made a difference. So thank you for joining us. I better have my little swag of water here. Mm, I hope you're all well. I hope that um, lockdown has opened opportunities for you and allowed you to look towards areas of growth, particularly if you're having challenges in your business, personally, or others. Um, do feel free to reach out as well. Have a fantastic Wednesday. It's hump day. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on another fun episode of Virtual Coffee. We will be inviting guests again, so particularly now that we are on LinkedIn, anyone that's joining in would love to be a guest. Feel free to reach out. I love to showcase your superpowers, and I love to have someone and a few of you join me on a coffee break. So take care of yourselves. Bye bye.